in the brown area.
Join the team.
Hey team, this is the McGuire Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new title out of Lucky Duck Games called Chronicles of Crime, the Millennium series. So let's lock in and get ready to go! Alright team, you can find this one on Kickstarter currently. It has been out there for a while. We are coming into the final stretch of the Kickstarter. There's only a few days left as of the posting of this video. So if you are interested in this, you're going to want to go check this out right away. Now, Chronicles of Crime is not a new game by any means from Lucky Duck Games. Chronicles of Crime was a game that was released. This is the Chronicles of Crime Millennium series. One of the things that I do want to make sure is very clear is that these Millennium series Chronicle of Crime games are not expansions to the base. Okay, and it's a very important thing to understand. You don't have to have the base Chronicles of Crime game and then you're adding these on top of it. Every one of the Millennium series Chronicles of Crime boxes are a standalone product. They're their own game. You can just get one of them and you can play the whole game. You can get multiple of them. That is up to you. In the Kickstarter that's going on right now, there are actually 3 box sets. This is the 1400, and it just sort of goes through time, which is cool. So if you do want to get all 3, it is cool to have all 3, but you can have just one of them as a standalone to play through. Maybe you buy them over time, but if you want to get all 3 of them, it's pretty cool because the storyline will drive together. You don't need any of the other ones to play any of them, but the storyline does continue there for the Millennium series, which is pretty cool because you follow different members of this family through time, and it's a pretty extensive amount of time, and it's a overarching storyline, and there's little Easter eggs that are built within each one of those box sets, where once you get further in time, you're like, oh, that was so-and-so, or some item you may have came across. So that's a really cool concept. What we're going to be looking at here is the Kickstarter prototype. This is all prototype, everything that you see here on the table, including the box. It's not even going to have some of this naming anymore. They've changed a few things as you're going to production and going to Kickstarter. I absolutely loved this game, to say the least. The original Chronicles of Crime that came out was highly acclaimed. It was a really, really good game. It won a lot of review-type awards and great opinions. I think they have further advanced even that platform with this new Millennium series and made it even better. Now, it did come with a little pamphlet here that goes over the new mechanics and a quick overview of what we got here. So it says here, if you've played the original Chronicles of Crime, you can actually go to this website here and download the rulebook. Otherwise, there are some game mechanic changes. The evidence board, we'll take a look at that, is a little bit different. It has 2 different areas versus 1 from the original game. There is some vision cards. We'll look at those. That's a really cool concept that I really liked. As well as they changed the way that the family members and the home tab actually works, and we'll look at that here in a second. And then there is this new mechanic here, the dog, which I thought was really cool with this one in particular, where you have a faithful dog companion that will go along with you throughout your adventure, solving the mystery. And you can use this dog to sniff out items and give you more information about the things that you find. Now, the dog will not interact directly with people, and it will not interact directly with locations, but let's say you find a scarf, or you find a bottle, or you find a note, you can scan the dog and then scan that item, and the dog will sniff it and see if the dog will give you some extra information. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not, but I found that that was a really cool little mechanic to add in, and it made it a lot of fun in my opinion. All right, that's all the new stuff that we have here with the new 1400 Millennium series. Now let's go over these components and some of the mechanics, but before we do, I want to give a good, solid explanation for what this game is, because it's a very innovative title and approach to gaming. If you have played the original Chronicles of Crime, you kind of know what this is about, but if you haven't, this is sort of a new type of thing. So you'll notice that a lot of these cards, pretty much every one of these cards, except for our vision cards here, are going to have a QR code on them. That's for your mobile device. It's an app-driven game, so you will have to download an application onto your phone, and then that application will load up, and you'll be able to select different storylines. So you may think, well, after I solve the mystery and play it, I'm kind of done, right? So 45 minutes later, or however long it takes you to solve the mystery, an hour later, maybe you're playing with your group, I'm done, right? I paid it, I'm done. No, because every one of these box sets will come with multiple storylines and mysteries to be solved. So it's quite a bit of gameplay within the box. Now, I will say, after you do solve the mystery, the fun of the mystery and that particular storyline is essentially over. There's not going to be a lot of replayability there unless you do get a score at the very end. Unless your score isn't perfect or your score is low, you may then want to go back and play the mystery and try to solve it a different way. Because depending on the items that you look at, the order you look at them, how long it takes you to solve, like all of this goes into like a final tally at the end where the application will tell you, well, you got so many points out of so many points based on all the things that you did. And at the very end, it will ask you a bunch of questions, and you'll have to remember over the course of the game. And I find it fun to just, you can take notes if you want, but I find it fun to just try to remember it all, to say, oh, who was so-and-so's brother, and where did this person, get their document? And you'll have to go around and you'll scan the things and try to remember when it asks you all these questions at the very end. So I found that to be very interesting and a lot of fun. It gives you a score. And if it's not the score that you want, you're really going for that perfect score, then you can replay that mystery. But obviously you're going to know, there's not going to be any surprises. You're going to know what you find. You're going to know who you're going to be talking to and what that person does and what kind of information they're able to give. But there's obviously some new things you can discover if you want to replay those storylines. Again, there will be multiple storylines in every box, so you're definitely getting your value for how much gameplay is coming in each one of these boxes. So I don't want to misrepresent there. So as you have the app's going to be feeding you that storyline. It's going to be feeding you kind of what's going on, and every time you scan one of these QR codes, and you're going to be making the decision as a player on what you want to scan, what location you want to go to, what person you want to talk to, what person you want to talk to, and then what item you want to ask them about. It's very, very simple. You would just scan a location, and once you go to that location, okay, now you would scan the person you want to talk to, and then you would scan an item you want to reference and ask them about, or you would just scan them, and they would have some dialogue that they would have with you initially. So it's really cool the way that works, and that's all up to you as the player or the players. This is easily a soloable game. You can play this solo. I highly recommend this as a travel solo. Well, there's no travel going on right now. Okay, back that up. I definitely recommend this as a solo playing in your basement kind of game, or just playing this with your family at home around the table. It really is a blast, and I've played this both in a group environment as well as solo, and both times it was fantastic. Really, really had a good time and came away feeling, you really had this feel when you come away that you just saw like a really cool movie, or you read this awesome mystery book, but you were the main character. You were the investigator. You were part of solving this mystery. Just really, really well executed. Okay, so that's holistically how this game is going to work, and you can see there's just a few components really that comes in these box sets. Obviously, in the production version, there'll be more stuff, but there's not a lot that comes with the game because there's not a lot needed, because so much of it is built into the application, and it's really just going around and scanning the various items as you go through the story. So this is your base board here, and I have it closed up because I thought it was pretty cool how they put that artwork on it to kind of make it look like an old leather-bound book, which I thought was pretty neat. And we'll open it up, and I'll show you here that it is different than what you would see if you had played the original Chronicles of Crime. You'll see that there's this blue area as well as the brown area. Now, the brown area is reserved for items that you find, that you physically have in your hands and you have found in the game. And when that happens, you'll put that item on the map. Okay? And I'll explain exactly how you find these items. But once you've found an item, you'll put it on the map there if you physically have it. Now, there is many times where you'll be talking to people and they will talk about an item, that you haven't found yet. They may just reference an item. If that ever happens, you then would take that item or that clue and you would put it in the blue area. Now, once you were to find that item in your travels, then you would move it up into the brown area. So that's the only reason why they have this blue area here. And I like that because it does make it more realistic. I think that was a really good extra added mechanic, because there are things that you would know about but you wouldn't physically have obtained yet and you'd be looking for. Now, you may ask, okay, how do you actually find these items? This is another really cool thing with the application. So certain areas that you go, and this is our new home card. We're going to talk about that here in a second. I'm going to flip this around so it's you know what, I'm going to flip it around this way, okay? So you've got some purview there. And so that's our new home card, all right? So we're going to talk about that in a second. Here are the various locations that are included, and each one of them are marked with a letter on the back. And you would have these face down when you started the game. And then the app would be giving you, okay, you need to go to location G. Right in the app, it will tell you exactly if any of these items you find need to come out, any of these characters, NPCs, you're going to need to talk to, any special items you're going to need to get to, or any locations. It'll tell you right in the application with a code, or just have a symbol and a number, or a symbol and a letter, and you will just go to that card, get it, and then put out the location. Okay? So let's say that one of these locations here we put out. I totally forgot what the hell I was talking about. All right, so we got our location out, and there is no little. In the original one, there was little slots with like little arrows, and you'd put it. This doesn't have that. I'm not sure if the production version will or not. I preferred it just like this. It just gives you more. You could just set it anywhere on the table, and I found that kind of cool, and I did that. I actually had these sort of positioned on different places around the table, so it kind of felt like the sprawling map of locations that you could travel to. So that's how I did that. Let's say you had your area out here, and let's say it was an area that you could actually explore, because some areas you can't. Some areas you'll just go. There might be a character that's there you need to talk to. You may get some information about the area, but it's not something that you can physically explore and look for items. But let's say, hypothetically, this one was. We would say, okay, well, we got some clues to maybe go to this area here. So we would take our phone and we would scan. The app would have a little QR scanner, and we would scan that. And we would go to this area. And then right on the app, it would actually have something that would say, explore the location. And you would click that. You could also talk to people beforehand. You could do lots of different things. But if it was an area that had an area to explore, then it would indicate that on the application. You'd click explore. This is where it gets really neat, because you can either click with or without VR glasses to explore the areas. There is this little VR glass clip-on apparatus that you can purchase from Lucky Duck Games. It's very low cost. And it's just a little plastic thing that snaps on the front of your phone, and it's got little VR, lenses on it. And you'd hold it up, and you could literally in VR, full 3D VR, look around in a room or an environment that you were in, looking for clues. And it would just be basically a scene where maybe a crime happened, or it'd be a storeroom, or there'd be things you'd be looking for. Or if you don't have that, you can do without that, and then it's just a standard, 3D view. It's just not going to be like VR. It's just going to be a standard 3D view, and you will move your mobile device around, and it will move around the room as you're looking. So I found that to be a really fun, innovative, and engaging thing when you're playing by yourself or with others. You can have maybe one of the other players sitting next to you and then sort of looking with you, because the problem is you only have so long to look. I think it's 40 seconds to look at your scene. And then if you want to view the scene again, it's going to take time. And that's one of the things that goes into the final score at the end. It's how much time you take to actually solve this mystery. Every time you talk to somebody, it's so much time. Every time you travel to a location, it's so much time. Every time you view a crime scene, it's so much time. So you don't want to have 4 people and say, oh, okay, I viewed it. Now you want to view it? Okay, now you want to view it. Then everybody gets to view it. You're going to waste a bunch of time. So what I found, good in that situation is maybe 2 people on this side of the table are one person's holding it and they're both sort of viewing the scene. And then if you need to, you can have one more viewing where the other two folks get to take a look as well. Or you just kind of alternate back and forth. Because what I found works well is as you're looking at that scene, you're trying to identify items that could potentially be clues. And these are all these items up here. And there's tons of stuff that you're going to see in these scenes. And it's not always 100% specific. So here it says ranged weapon. It could be a crossbow. It could be a bow. It could be a throwing dart. It could be, there could be anything, but you might find a ranged weapon. So you're going to want to call that out. Okay, there's a bow. Okay, we got a ranged weapon. All right. There's some kitchen utensils. All right, I see that. There's a bed in here. There's some bedding. You might want to go through and say, there's some looks like books that are on a shelf. Okay, we got books here. And so forth, right? Paintings and drawings. There's some paintings on the wall. And some of these things may, be things that are clearly you're looking for. And some of these things may not be. Some of them might be a little bit of a far stretch. Like there might be a painting on the wall, but that painting may not mean anything. But still, you found it in the scene. So that's why I find it successful with a couple people looking at the scene and calling out what they're seeing, and then other players looking through the item deck to try to get those items. And I would suggest, because these things are not any secrets, I would suggest just going ahead and, when I played, I just laid them all out on the table, so you could just kind of go through and, okay, we got this, all right, you found that. It just made it a lot easier than trying to thumb through, the deck. And sometimes the app, and that's why these cards have little numbers on them, sometimes the app will tell you, hey, go get item 22, right? And then you'd go through the deck and you'd pick up item 22. But that number is specified right on the front as well. So if you have them all laid out, that's still going to work perfectly fine. And that's how you acquire items. So once you're done searching, you then would put out all your items, and then you would scan each one of those items. I believe it takes 5 minutes to kind of look at and scan each item, but you would scan each 5 minutes off of your total time within the game. But you'd scan each one of those items, and then it would tell you, yes, this item is a clue, and this is why it's important. You would take it and then put it on your clue board in the brown area. Okay, that is how finding items and acquiring items is going to work. You will notice there's these 3 special, we won't call them items because they're not all items. They're just 3 sort of special clues in the game. Most of these are going to come out in the blue area, if I remember correctly, first. And then once you interact with that item or you find that clue, then it would move into the brown area. So that's how these are going to work. They're like special type clues. Now the new home board is going to be a little bit different. This is kind of your home base, and you do have 3 family members, and they're all built right on the card, which I really like the clean design there that they went with this time. You've got the spy, the merchant, and the monk, and each one of them do different things for you. So as you're trying to solve your mystery, the merchant is an expert on items. So as you find items, you may go back home, scan the merchant, and then scan the items and allow the merchant to tell you more about those items to see if you can learn maybe extra clues about it. The spy is an expert on people, so pretty much any NPC or person that you meet, you're going to want to scan that spy and go back home and really figure out who you're dealing with. And then the monk is an expert on written materials, so any types of books and parchments and papers and notes. This monk might be able to give you some clues to be able to figure out some more things there. You'll see these little spots here. These are for as characters come out. They don't always come out aligned or assigned to a location. You may just learn about a character like this character here, and it would come out sort of there. All it means is like, I know about this guy. Hang on, is that a guy? No, that's an old lady. Okay, so I know about this lady. She comes out, but I don't know exactly where she is. And then maybe in the story later, it'll determine that, she's actually over here in this location. And once you determine that, you would take her then from this sort of just open character area, and then you would place her in one of the slots here on this location, where now she is at that location. Characters will also, through the story, move from location to location. you may go to a location and all of a sudden scan a character, and it'll tell you that at this point this character's no longer there. You may not know where they went. So if that happens, they kind of come back to the, okay, well, the character's still in play, but we don't know where they are. And then once you determine where that character is, then you would take them off this area and then put them on that new location. So it's just a mechanic and a way to sort of allocate characters as they're moving around this world and you're interacting with them. So I found that to be pretty cool as well. And the characters are the same way. They're going to have those QR codes on them where you're going to scan them. Same way that the locations as well as the items work. Okay, we already talked about how the little dog works here, which I love that mechanic. The last new thing is our vision cards here. So at the very beginning, you're going to flip these cards over, and they don't have any QR codes on them. They're just kind of mysterious pictures. You're going to flip these over, and you're going to look at them. And these pictures are going to tie into what you're trying to solve. Like the mystery that you're solving has to do with these visions that you've seen. So in this series, the member of this family that you're playing, and it's a different person because it's a timeline that stretches over a very long time. So in each one of these, it's a different member within this family. But each time that member kind of has somewhat of a psychic type ability, and they have these visions about these mysteries that have happened, these different storylines. And you'll be able to flip this over to kind of get a feel for like, oh, I wonder what this is. We've got like a guy with a club, and this lady sort of looks concerned, and she's kind of running. And then you've got this guy writing in a book, looks pretty stern, like this is really important. You got this guy that's beat up, drinking out of this jug with this special little, looks like a little emblem on it. Like, what is this? And then you've got this guy that looks somewhat like a monk or a priest, and he's wearing this little, this really fancy ordinate cross here, and then you got a lady serving him, which maybe looks like a tavern of some type, and then that's where you start. So it's really cool because you get like this initial vision and feel for this mystery that you're going to solve, and how deep and this goes, and how much you have to unravel. And then over time, as these locations and these characters come out, it's like, oh, I remember that's the lady that was serving that wine in that tavern to that guy, and oh, now there's that guy, and oh, but where's his cross? And that's what makes this game really fun. That's what makes this new mechanic here with these vision cards, I think, works so well. So that was a really nice addition as well to the game. And team, that's really it. I'm not going to show all the locations. I think it's fine with the vision cards here. I don't want to show every item and every character. I do want to leave a little bit of mystery, even for this initial single storyline in this box set. But that's it, team. That is the new Chronicles of Crime Millennium series. It is on Kickstarter right now. If you think this is something that you would enjoy, I would highly recommend going checking it out. If you are a fan of the original Chronicles of Crime, or if you have played the original Chronicles of Crime, you're going to love the extensions that they've done here with the mechanics as well as these storylines. They do get pretty fun and pretty rich. Okay, this comes from a huge double thumbs up recommend from me. I was not someone who actually played the original Chronicles of Crime, and I wish that I did because of how fantastic this is, and I'll probably go out and pick up that one as well, the original Chronicles of Crime, just to play through, because I've had so much fun with this, and I cannot wait until these get delivered through Kickstarter, and we can go through these. So, huge thumbs up. Way to go, Lucky Duck Games. You nailed it again with Chronicles of Crime, the Millennium series. Team, go check it out. Remember, it's almost done on Kickstarter. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time, Bear. Let's roll!